SAT Practice, Chapter 2 Vocabulary, Baby Bear and the Big Cheese. After finishing his porridge, Baby Bear resolved to spend the day upon a new artistic creation, his previous efforts at organic sculpture having been demolished and composted by his father, despite his impassioned pleas and artful perspicuity. The argument had been that the non-traditional medium used was inappropriate for the subject matter. He viewed this contention as specious, spurious, and duplicitous. Suspecting the real motive to have been inspired by fundamental artistic differences, hitherto a bastion of sacrosanctity in the Bear household. He needed a new medium, one in keeping with his own predilections and at the same time generally acceptable. It must be noted that Baby Bear's concept of acceptable media may have been somewhat flawed. The medium he decided upon was cheese, and the subject was to be his mother. It would be a surprise, an adulatory effigy in fermented curd, and its configuration and symmetry were already forming in his mind's eye. There was a profusion of cheeses about, and abundance due in no small part to his mother's inordinate penchant for the dairy product. Though a preference was not necessarily endemic to bears in general, she had long since succumbed to its allure, and was, in fact, on medication for the condition. Thus it was not hard to fathom why he felt cheese would fadge best with his chosen subject. But the convoluted logic by which he came to the conclusion that this medium would be appropriate and acceptable, and would not be viewed as a further act of turpitude, was clear only to him. He set immediately to work on a furtive collection campaign, storing wheels and blocks of cheese under his bed. His initial cache having been spontaneously augmented periodically by opportunistic acquisitions, after a week or so his bed tilted at an unconventional angle and began to bulge. Undaunted, he continued until sleeping in it became difficult and even hazardous. He knew that, lest his plan be subverted, he needed to find a studio and start to work. Unfortunately, nothing presented itself. He was determined not to spoil a surprise, though perhaps his unwillingness to ask for help was more due to the turmoil and discord that would ineluctably disturb the serenity of the household subsequent to a revelation of his plans. To a prodigy such as Baby Bear, this was but a minor obstacle. His bed had gradually settled down again as the weather became warmer and the cheese relaxed into a less rigid structure. Palette knife in hand, he set about to fashion the mass into what? Into something that would not arouse suspicion. Papa Bear did not at first notice the small piano in the corner of the kitchen the following morning, but Baby Bear knew better than to expect his mother to overlook it. By the time she made an appearance, the piano had vanished, but for a few greasy stains, and a small, lumpy-looking sofa had appeared on the veranda, supplanting the chair that had stood there previously. When queried about the object, Baby Bear first evaded the question, and eventually simply disavowed any knowledge of the misshapen object. Then, waiting for an opportune moment, he attempted to reshape the increasingly redolent mass into a microwave oven, an entertainment center, and eventually a bird cage. The heterogeneity of widely differing cheese viscosities rendered sculpting difficult, a fact to which Baby Bear attributed the utter lack of success achieved in these latter efforts. Taking advantage of a few minutes alone in the living room, Baby Bear sculpted a likeness of his mother on the mantelpiece, or mostly on, for some oozed along the ledge, and much dripped and dangled pendulously down in front of the fireplace. Upon its discovery, amid a profusion of agitated deprecation from both parents, was revealed a begrudging appreciation for his artistic vision, and an acknowledgment of the verisimilitude of the explanation of his motivation. With some pomp and a wheelbarrow, the bust was transported to the compost pile. Another great project was already festering in his fecund cranium, but he resolved to embark on the next installment of his cadent accomplishments only after the house returned to its customary state of tranquillity.